Welcome to Crushed Husband. Please like the video and subscribe. Let's begin. I was up at 6, chopping onions like I was prepping for a damn wedding instead of my own retirement party. My name's Eddie. I'm 61, live in Kingston, New York, and I just put 38 years into the same auto shop I started when I was 23. Today was supposed to be my send-off, my goodbye. But I was the only one setting out chairs and making sure the BBQ trays were warming evenly. Rachel, my wife of 24 years, was nowhere to be found. Not that I was surprised. This was classic Rachel, big day. She vanishes. She's probably at the salon, getting touched up, so she could pretend she hadn't spent the last 2 weeks barely speaking to me. I didn't even bother calling. I just muttered, "Figures," and kept moving. Quick note, before we get into it, share which city or country you're watching from. By 8, the tables were set. My buddy Ronnie was coming by to help with the grill, and the drinks were iced down in coolers. I was wearing jeans and a clean button-up. Didn't feel like dressing up, just to stand around while people pretended to care. The whole thing felt off. Like I was throwing myself a funeral and nobody told me yet that I was dead. I stood there in the backyard, hands on my hips, looking at the tent rental I paid for, the spread I ordered, the playlist I made, and all I could think was, how the hell did I end up the catering staff for my own farewell? The house was still silent. Rachel's car wasn't in the driveway. Our daughter Jenna wasn't flying in till later tonight. So it was just me in the silence, which honestly was more peaceful than the last few weeks of weird tension and clipped conversations. At exactly 11:56, I heard the garage door open. Rachel walked in through the kitchen door like she was returning from a quick errand. No, sorry I'm late. Just scrolling through her phone with this glazed look like she was barely even here. "You're just getting back now?" I asked. She looked up, blinked, and said, "I needed a minute." Then she walked upstairs without another word. I didn't follow, didn't feel like picking a fight before the guests arrived. So I poured myself a soda, plastered on the good old Eddie smile, and started greeting people like everything was perfectly normal. First wave of guests trickled in right on cue. Old friends from the garage, a couple neighbors, even my old high school shop teacher. I stayed busy, doing the rounds, shaking hands, laughing at the same, "So, what are you gonna do with all your free time now?" joke about 12 times in a row. Then came the cold front. Frank and Marilyn, Rachel's parents, walked through the gate like they were here for a legal deposition. Marilyn had that stiff smile she used when she didn't want to be here, and Frank was wearing a blazer, which told me everything. That man only put on a blazer when he wanted to be taken seriously, not warmly, seriously. "Eddie," Marilyn said, not quite a greeting, more like a label. "Frank," I nodded. Frank gave me a handshake with no pressure, like he didn't want to waste effort. "Lot of folks here," he said, scanning the yard like he was assessing property value. "Yeah, it's almost like people actually like me," I said, grinning. He didn't smile back. No surprise. Marilyn handed me a gift bag like it burned her fingers to carry it. "It's a book. On aging well." "Thoughtful," I said flat. "I'll be sure to pass it along to someone who gives a damn." Karen showed up next, floating in behind them like some kind of backup dancer. Tight dress, fake hug, over-the-top smile. She air-kissed me on both cheeks like we were in some Bravo episode. "Eddie, you look healthy," she said, tilting her head like she was diagnosing a tumor. "Still breathing?" I said. "You look the same." That earned a tight laugh from her and a long sip of wine. She always came with an attitude dressed up like a compliment. She was Rachel's baby sister, but acted like she raised her. I noticed the three of them, Frank, Marilyn, Karen, huddling near the fire pit, barely engaging with anyone else. Not rude exactly, just formal, too formal, like they were waiting for something, or someone, before the show could really start. Rachel finally came outside. She had changed, heels, makeup, new earrings, and was glued to her phone again. But this time, she looked excited, nervous even. She kept checking the gate like she was tracking a delivery. I walked up behind her while she stood by the drinks table, phone in hand, bouncing slightly on her heels. "Everything all right?" I asked. She didn't look up. "Yeah, just waiting on someone." "Anyone I know?" "Nope," she said too quickly. "Business thing. On a Saturday." "It's fine, Eddie. Just let me handle it." She turned away like I'd interrupted something sacred. That's when I saw Karen sidle up to her by the fence. They leaned close, heads together, whispering. I was across the yard, tossing plates in the trash, but I could still catch pieces of it. Perfect timing, Karen said. Not yet. Wait until he... Rachel replied. Don't blow it. Just follow the plan. I stopped moving. My stomach dropped, not from fear, from clarity. Something was coming, and they weren't even subtle about it anymore. I watched Rachel nod and adjust her hair like she was about to meet royalty. Karen scanned the crowd, then glanced straight at me before turning away. It was like watching stage actors flub their lines. They were trying so damn hard to pretend nothing was happening. It just made everything more obvious. I walked back toward the grill, slow and steady, like nothing rattled me. But inside, something shifted, something sharp. This wasn't just me being paranoid. There was a plan, and I wasn't in on it, not yet, but I would be. I was flipping burgers, trying to stay busy, when Rachel suddenly bolted from the patio like she'd heard Taylor Swift showed up. She smoothed her blouse, tucked her phone away, and practically sprinted across the yard toward the side gate. A tall guy in sunglasses was just walking in. Clean cut, way too clean. Slim fit slacks, no socks, tan loafers, that smarmy haircut you only see on real estate guys and motivational speakers. He looked like the kind of dude who called coffee fuel and winked after every joke he made. Rachel lit up. Full-blown light up the Christmas tree lit up. She grabbed his arm like they were already in a couple's photo shoot. You made it, she squealed. He flashed those bright PR-ready teeth and said, wouldn't miss it for the world. Big day. I watched them from behind the grill, tongs in hand, smoke rising between us like a damn wall. She brought him right over. No warning, no heads up, nothing. Eddie, this is Brent, she said, like she was unveiling a damn Tesla. He's been helping me with next steps after your retirement. And Brent offered his hand, firm grip, all confidence, and gave me a look like I was some relic in a museum. Big milestone, man. You should be proud. Rachel talks about you all the time. That's when I knew. This wasn't just business. This wasn't some friendly consultant. This guy was part of something, and I'd just walked into the reveal party. Nice to meet you, I said, dry as dust. You into cars? Brent chuckled. No, but I'm great with systems and strategy. Efficiency is my thing. He actually said that, like we were in a TED Talk instead of my damn backyard. Marilyn slithered over next, grinning like she'd just married off her daughter to a tech founder. Brent has such a fresh vision for the garage, she said, especially with all the transition happening. I stared at her. Transition. She blinked, caught off guard. Oh, just, the shift. Rachel's stepping in more, and Brent's helping her streamline. It's exciting. Sure, I said, watching Brent take a sip of sparkling water, like he was tasting fine wine. Streamline what exactly? Before Marilyn could answer, Karen swooped in with that fake sweet tone she always used right before gutting someone verbally. Rachel deserves a partner who sees her potential, she said, her eyes locking on mine like that was supposed to mean something. I let that hang in the air. Rachel avoided my eyes, focusing on adjusting Brent's collar like she was grooming him. No one said it out loud, but it was clear. This wasn't a party anymore. This was a handoff. I was being replaced, not just in the garage, in life. Brent looked around, oblivious to the tension, or maybe just too arrogant to care. You've built something strong, Eddie. We're just looking at how to modernize the model. I repeated. Rachel finally met my gaze. It's just conversation, Eddie. Don't be dramatic. Right, I said. I'll try not to make a scene at my own retirement party. Brent nodded, like that was a perfectly reasonable request, and turned to chat with Karen about branding opportunities. I stood there, heat rising off the grill and off my neck. This guy had walked into my house like he already had a key, like they'd been rehearsing this moment for weeks. And the worst part, I wasn't even shocked, just pissed I hadn't seen it sooner. Brent wandered over to the cooler like nothing was wrong, grabbed a sparkling water, then turned back to me with that polite little smirk. So, he said, I know this probably feels sudden, but Rachel thought it'd be smart to bring me in early, just to review operations, get a head start on the rebrand. He said rebrand like it was some cute side project. I tilted my head. A rebrand of my garage. He chuckled nervously. Well, technically, it's the next phase. Transition, growth, added value. Added value, I repeated, coming from the guy who wears shoes with no socks. Rachel jumped in fast. Eddie, don't make this into a thing. Brent's just here to help us move forward. Frank joined the circle like he'd been waiting for a cue. He had a glass of bourbon in one hand, and his voice came out smooth and rehearsed. Brent would be perfect to help Rachel run things once everything's official. Young, sharp, knows the market. That did it. The whole backyard seemed to tilt. Every face turned to me, like I was already out. Even some of the neighbors went quiet. It was clear they knew something. Maybe not the whole plan, but enough to feel awkward now. I looked at Rachel. Her arms were crossed, chin up, waiting for me to react. I think part of her wanted a meltdown, so she could play the victim. So I gave her the opposite. I smiled, slow. "Sounds like y'all have been busy," I said. Karen took a step forward, like she was about to lay it on thick. "This doesn't have to be hard, Eddie. You've had your time. Rachel's just stepping into her own now. She deserves that." I nodded, calm as ever. "She does. And she made sure of it, years ago, actually." Brent furrowed his brow. "What do you mean?" I took a sip of soda, leaned against the cooler, and looked at him dead on. "The garage is mine, sole owner, always has been." Marilyn snorted. "That can't be right." "Oh, it's right," I said. "Rachel signed off on that herself. In writing, at her own insistence, if I remember correctly. Said she wanted nothing to do with the liability." Rachel's mouth opened, but no sound came out. I kept going. "Got the papers filed with the state. The business license, the property deed, the whole damn structure. It's all in my name." Brent's eyes darted toward Rachel. "You didn't mention that part." Frank stepped in like that would fix something. "Let's not get dramatic here. The garage is just one piece of the bigger picture." "No," I said. "It's the piece. You've been planning a coup with a guy who doesn't even know what a torque wrench is." Brent stepped back. His face dropped, just slightly. Not enough for the others to notice, but I caught it. He finally realized he was in over his head. Karen blinked fast, her fake smile twitching. This was supposed to be a surprise, a gift. "You're twisting it." "I'm not twisting anything," I said. "I'm just laying out the facts, since nobody here wanted to bring them up." I let that hang. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was deadly. Brent cleared his throat. "Look, I thought I was helping with a business handoff, not stepping into. Personal stuff." "Then maybe next time," I said. "Don't walk into a stranger's life with both feet like you already own the place." Rachel finally found her voice. "Eddie, we can talk about this later." "No," I said. "We talk now." In front of all these people who were apparently just here to witness my retirement and replacement. Brent looked like he was mentally packing his bag. The confidence drained out of his face, replaced with this tight, twitchy confusion. He realized the opportunity he thought he was inheriting came with a legal mess and a pissed-off husband who owned everything. The guy who thought he was the future. He just became a liability. Nobody moved. Nobody blinked. It was like the whole backyard froze under a spotlight. I took a deep breath, real steady. "Let me make this simple, since everyone here seems confused. The garage, mine. Not just the building, but the name, the license, the clients, the assets. It's been that way for over 15 years. We filed papers, we signed off on rolls. Rachel made it clear she didn't want business entanglement. I respected that. Rachel looked like someone had pulled the air out of her, but she recovered just fast enough to lie. "This isn't what it looks like." "Yeah," I said. "Then explain it to me. I'm dying to hear the version where all of this isn't a setup." She opened her mouth, then shut it. Karen jumped in like she was PR. "Brent wasn't here to replace you. He's been advising, that's it." "Advising who?" I snapped. "Because no one said a damn word to me. And unless I'm hallucinating, this is my party." Brent put his hands up like he'd wandered into a hostage situation. "Look, man, I didn't realize there was still a marriage in play. I thought—" "What?" I cut in. "You thought I was out of the picture, that I'd just hand over my life's work and disappear." He looked to Rachel, then to Frank, who was now stepping forward like he was about to deliver some grand wisdom. "This isn't personal, Eddie," Frank said. "It's about what's best for Rachel now. About what she's earned." "Earned," I said, laughing once, sharp. "She asked for financial independence. Remember that. Said she didn't want to be tied to my business. Didn't want her name on it. Wanted her own thing." Frank's jaw tightened. "She changed her mind." "Too late," I said. "You don't get to jump the fence and take credit for a garden you didn't water." Marilyn walked up beside him, her voice low, urgent. "Eddie, this doesn't have to get ugly." "Already is," I said. "You just didn't expect me to show my teeth." Brent started backing away, one slow step at a time. I think I misread the situation, clearly. "No hard feelings," I said, not even looking at him. "You just believed the pitch. Sucks being sold a dream with no foundation, huh?" He didn't answer, just kept edging toward the gate like it might save him. Rachel finally spoke again, voice shaking but still trying to control the spin. "We were just trying to explore options for the future. That's all this was." "No," I said. "You were building a future without me. That's a whole different thing." Karen muttered something under her breath, probably a prayer or a curse, but I ignored her. Rachel's eyes finally locked on mine, and this time there was nothing smug left. Just the weight of someone who finally realized the ground wasn't under her feet anymore. "You made your choices," I said, voice low. "Now you live with them." No one argued, not anymore. The silence was still thick when I reached into my back pocket and pulled out my phone. "Since we're laying cards on the table," I said, "let me add a few of mine." Brent paused mid-step. Rachel froze. I tapped the screen. "Let's talk about the account you opened at Catskill Credit Union. Under your maiden name, linked to a business titled R Solutions LLC. Rachel blinked. "What? Don't bother," I cut her off. "I saw the transfer last month. You started funneling money out of the joint account 6 months ago. Small pulls, regular intervals. Thought I wouldn't notice." Karen's hand went to her chest. Marilyn took a full step back like the truth was contagious. Brent's brow creased. "Wait, what account?" I turned to him. "The one she told the bank was part of a new consulting firm. The one you're apparently listed as a strategic partner on. Even signed your name on the articles of organization." His jaw dropped slightly. "What the hell are you talking about?" "Google it when you get home," I said. "You'll find your name on paperwork you didn't know existed." Rachel turned toward him, frantic. "Brent, I was going to explain—" "No," I snapped. "You were going to phase me out. You almost pulled it off. I give you credit. Changing the business name online, clever. Using Brent's LinkedIn and those fake press release blurbs to make it look like a merger was already underway. Real ambitious." Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. "Hell," I added. "You even reached out to 3 of my oldest clients. Told them, Eddie's stepping back soon, but everything will stay in the family. One of them called me, wanted to congratulate me. That's how I knew." Brent looked at her like he'd never seen her before. "You said this was just prep work. You said—" "You've been used, Brent," I said flat. "You were the face for the takeover. You just didn't know the garage wasn't part of the deal." Rachel started to panic. "Eddie, please, we can still—" "No, we're not walking this back." Marilyn's voice cut in, sharp and cold. "You've clearly been snooping. Spying on your own wife like some paranoid." I turned to her. "No, I was protecting my life's work. You don't build something from the ground up just to hand it over to people playing house with your legacy." I tapped my phone again, pulled up the voice memos. "Want to hear what snooping sounds like?" Then I hit play. Rachel's voice came through the speaker, crystal clear. She was talking to Karen. "He won't even see it coming. Brent's the future, not Eddie. I'm tired of waiting for Eddie to just get out of the way." Karen replied, laughing. "Just keep smiling till after the party. Perfect timing is everything." The audio stopped. Nobody breathed. Brent's face went white. "Jesus Christ," he muttered. Rachel looked like she'd been shot in the stomach. I held up the phone, calm as ever. "I have more. Saved to the cloud. Full conversations, planning sessions, file names. You documented everything like amateurs." Marilyn turned on Rachel. "You said this was clean. You told us—" "I didn't think he knew," Rachel said, shaking her head. "I didn't think—" "Exactly," I snapped. "You didn't think. You played it like a game. You brought your boyfriend—" I nodded toward Brent. "To my retirement party. You tried to bury me alive with a smile on your face." Brent raised his hands. "I didn't know you were still together. I was told the divorce was already in motion." "Nope," I said. "We're still married. Legally, financially, publicly, until I say otherwise." Karen tried to step in again. "Eddie, you're making this worse." "No," I said. "I'm ending it." Brent took a shaky breath and turned toward Rachel. "You lied to me. About everything." She reached for him, desperate. Brent! He pulled away. I watched him look around like the whole place was suddenly on fire. Then he walked straight out the gate. Didn't even say goodbye. Rachel staggered back from the gate like Brent had taken the last bit of air with him. Then she snapped. "This wasn't supposed to happen like this," she shouted, her voice cracked and shrill. "I was under so much pressure, I didn't know what else to do." People turned, even the ones trying to quietly slip out froze. "Pressure from what?" I said. "Your Pinterest boards. Your vision journal. You were planning a business coup and dating your intern. Spare me the breakdown now." She pointed at me, hands shaking. "You never saw me. You never believed in what I could do. You just wanted me to stay in the house, play hostess, grow old while you played king of the garage." I stared at her. "You want to go there? Fine. I paid for your degree when you went back to school, twice. I helped fund that bakery idea you quit 6 months in, the photography side hustle, the handmade soap crap, the business coaching course you took and never finished. I backed everything you said mattered." She blinked, stunned. "I gave you room. I gave you time. I gave you comfort. But, yeah, guess I didn't give you the spotlight, so I became the enemy." Karen's voice cut in from behind her. "You made her feel stuck, Eddie. That's what you never got. She needed something bigger." I turned to her, done holding back. "Stuck," I said, loud enough that every last fake smiling neighbor still hanging around flinched. "She was living off me while planning my funeral. You call that stuck. I call that fed." Karen opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Rachel sobbed once, then broke down full force. Tears, hands in her hair, pacing in a tight circle like she could spin this away. "I just wanted more," she whispered, voice cracking. "I didn't know how to ask." "You didn't ask," I said. "You stole. You plotted. You used some poor clown in loafers and fed your whole family this fantasy where I was already gone. Marilyn lost it next." This is a disaster," she screamed. "You're humiliating us, publicly. Do you have any idea how this looks?" I stared her down. "Yeah, like the truth finally showed up." She looked around like she could still salvage something, but the crowd had thinned. People were pretending not to look, while very much looking. Frank stood dead still, arms folded, face pale. Even he didn't try to play cleanup this time. Karen turned back toward the house, muttering something about needing air. Rachel dropped into a lawn chair like her legs gave out, wiping tears with the back of her hand, still shaking her head. "I didn't want it to be like this," she mumbled. "Yeah," I said. "Then maybe don't build your escape plan on someone else's foundation." For a second, I thought she might get up and come toward me, say something human. But all she did was stare at the grass like maybe the answers were buried under it. I didn't move. I wanted every single one of them to sit in what they made. They wanted a transition. Well, here it was, burning, in real time. I turned toward the gate where Brent had stopped halfway, still trying to figure out how his shiny little future turned into a bonfire. "Brent," I called out. He looked back like he expected me to throw a punch. "You're free to go, man. No hard feelings," I said. "But next time, ask more questions before you start posing for the victory lap." He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something. Maybe sorry, maybe screw you. But he thought better of it, gave a tight nod, and kept walking down the driveway without looking back. I scanned the yard one last time. Rachel was still hunched in that lawn chair like gravity had doubled on her. Karen was nowhere to be seen. Marilyn stood stiff as a board near the patio, probably mentally drafting apology emails to the garden club. I raised my voice. "Party's over." Nobody argued. I walked toward the house. Rachel's head jerked up. "Eddie, wait, please. We should talk." I didn't slow down. "It's too late, Rachel. I didn't mean for it to go this way," she called out behind me. I hit the kitchen, stepped into the mudroom, opened the drawer by the sink where I always kept the spare keys, grabbed my truck set, felt the familiar weight of them in my hand. My boots hit the tile with solid final thuds. I didn't slam doors, didn't yell. I didn't need to. She followed me to the door, voice cracking. "Can't we just talk? Just the two of us." I turned to her, calm as ever. "You already had the meeting, remember? With Brent, with Karen, with your whole little board of directors. This isn't a marriage, it's a startup, and I'm out." I walked out the front door and didn't look back. Her voice kept trailing after me, but I let it fade like background noise. The late afternoon light had shifted, cooler, quieter. I got to the truck, opened the door, and that's when I heard Frank behind me. "Eddie," he said. I turned, ready to tell him off too, but he held something out. A key ring. I stared at it. "It's the cabin," he said, upstate. "We haven't used it much in years. If you need space, it's yours." I squinted at him. "What's the angle?" "No angle," he said. "I don't agree with what she did, but you handled it like a man." I didn't thank him. I just nodded once, took the keys, and got in the truck. As I backed out of the driveway, Rachel came running out onto the lawn, shouting my name again, like it still held power. I rolled down the window halfway. "Take care, Rachel," I said. "You've got everything you asked for." Then I drove off without another word. The drive took just under 3 hours, but it felt like a lifetime pulling away behind me. By the time I hit the dirt road leading up to Frank's old cabin, the trees were dusted white and the sky had gone from gray to full-on snow. Light flakes, nothing heavy yet, but enough to coat the windshield and silence everything around me. I parked, grabbed the small cooler I'd tossed in the bed, just beer and some leftover ribs, and made my way up the porch steps. The front door stuck like it always had, but a shoulder bump got it open. The place smelled like cedar, old flannel, and dust. Bare bones, but solid. 1 bedroom, small kitchen, stone fireplace that hadn't seen a flame in years. It was perfect. I set my stuff down, cracked a beer, and stepped back outside to the porch. Snow tapped the railing in a soft rhythm. The cold bit into my fingers, but I didn't care. I took a long pull from the bottle and finally let myself feel it. Not anger, not sadness, just silence. No Rachel, no fake smiles. No half whispers about the next phase. Just air, clean, and mine. I pulled out my phone and hit Lisa's number. She picked up on the second ring. "Eddie, hey, you got time. For you, always." She sounded sharp, ready. I liked that about her. No fluff. Just straight to business. "I'm done," I said. "I want it filed. Divorce, full lock on business assets, home, retirement accounts, everything we talked about last year. We do it now." Lisa didn't miss a beat. "I've already got the papers drafted. I can file Monday morning." "Good," I said. "Add this too. There's a company name, R Solutions LLC. It's in Rachel's maiden name. She's been pulling money from our joint account into it, using it to set up some fake consulting thing with that Brent clown. She also tried to rebrand the garage behind my back." There was a pause. Then Lisa said, "That's attempted fraud. I'll start the documentation now. I'll pull all her filings, cross-reference the bank activity. If you need statements, I've got them. Voice memos too, from her sister, from the whole damn peanut gallery." Lisa let out a sharp breath. "I'll prep it all. You want me to push criminal charges?" "Not yet," I said. "Let's start with locking the door. If they try to come back through the window, then we go nuclear." She chuckled. "Understood. You sure about all this, Eddie?" I looked out across the woods, snow falling heavier now, covering everything that didn't matter. "I've never been more sure," I said. "Let them have their fantasy. I've got the truth, and my freedom." Lisa didn't say anything for a second. Then, "I'll have everything ready by Monday. We're not giving them a single inch." I ended the call, slid the phone back in my coat, and took another sip of beer. No more pretending. No more fixing what never respected me. I just sat there, watching the flakes fall, finally feeling the weight come off. I woke up to quiet. No footsteps overhead, no slammed cabinet doors, no fake conversation humming through the walls. Just snow tapping the windows and the steady creak of the wind moving through the trees. The cabin was cold, but I didn't mind it. I layered up, lit the stove, and made a strong pot of black coffee. Didn't need cream, didn't need sugar, just heat and silence. I sat on the porch with the mug in both hands, steam curling up into the morning air, and watched the snow settle across the woods like a fresh coat of paint. My phone buzzed again, buzzed 3 more times. I pulled it from my pocket. Rachel, Marilyn, Karen, long messages, probably dressed up apologies or excuses disguised as closure. I didn't open a single one. I hit delete all and slid the phone face down on the table beside me. Felt better than I expected. By noon, I headed into town. Little place, maybe 6 blocks of real road, 1 blinking light. Gas station, diner, hardware store, all within arm's reach. The kind of town where everybody waves without asking questions. I walked into the diner and ordered a sandwich to go. The guy behind the counter had grease-stained hands and a John Deere cap. Looked up from the register with a curious smile. "You're not from around here." "Not yet," I said, thinking about relocating. "Got any skills?" "I know engines," I said, 40 years under the hood. He leaned in on the counter. "We always got room for someone who knows engines." I gave a small nod. "Maybe I'll finally get to work on my own car for once." He grinned. "Hell, that's what they all say, till word gets around." I paid in cash and left with a brown bag of food, and something I hadn't carried in years: peace. No bitterness, no anger left in the tank, just done. It wasn't just the end of a marriage, it was the beginning of a better damn life.